Well, I met Judith the day she came into our Sunday school class, and it's one of those things when you've been friends for several years. I was thinking about that before I came today, and I honestly can't tell you how many years ago that it was. It wasn't 10 or 15, it was less than that, but it just seems like she had always been here. And she was a petite lady, and probably in her early 50s. And we had an immediate connection because as we got to know each other in class, just in visiting and that sort of thing, she was raising two of her grandchildren, and at one point she also had a grandson that lived with her. But these two little girls, their mom had some bad times and wasn't available to take care of them, and so Judith, of course, just took right over and took the kids into her house. And they were little. The one was like a baby, and so we visited about that, and I was quite a bit, like 20 years older than Judith, but I have raised several of my grandchildren, not out of necessarily choice, but because you just have to step up. And I know that feeling. It's not even like a mother. It's like the feeling you have as a grandmother is just, you have to do it. You have to step up and take care of those little kids until maybe mom gets on her feet or till something changes. And that's where our connection was. And we talked about it a lot, that you step up and you do what you have to do. And I just came to love her because she was meek and mild, but yet she could be very outspoken. And if you crossed her about those kids, if somebody crossed her, she was the mama bear, and you would come out on the sore end of the deal. And so, it was just an instant connection. She was just such a wonderful person and just took it in stride and never complained and just did what she had to do. And then she got diagnosed with lung cancer, and she already was a tiny little person, and so we could all see her kind of going down and losing weight, and she rarely said much about it, didn't complain. I do remember one time the doctors wanted to put her on hospice, and she said, absolutely not, because that's when you've given up and you're not going to fight anymore. And she said, I have two little girls that I'm living for and that I'm going to take care of, and I'm not ready to die, and the Lord is with me through all of this, and I trust in Him, and I'm not going on hospice because I'm just going to keep fighting this thing. And she did, and she moved away from Grant Saline last year in November, and I believe about the middle of November, and I spoke with her multiple times. We would talk on the phone or text, and when it started getting close to Christmas, I could tell she was breathless, that she had a lot of trouble talking, so we would just text a little bit. And I talked to her, a week before Christmas, and she said, I don't think I can make it much longer. And she said, but the Lord is with me. He gives me strength. And she said, no matter what, I trust in Him. I know He's going to take care of my family when I'm gone, and I just want to make it to one more Christmas. And she died 2 or 3 days after Christmas. And so she got an answer to prayer with that, the way I see it. So I have we used to read poetry. I used to read her poems, and sometimes she would tell me a poem. But if I didn't say anything about Judith and just read the poem, then everyone would know who Judith was. This is the name of the poem. It's a Helen Steiner Rice poem, but it's Look on the Sunny Side. There are always two sides, the good and the bad, the dark and the light, the sad and the glad. But in looking back over the good and the bad, we're aware of the number of good things we've had. And in counting our blessings we find when we're through, we've no reason at all to complain or be blue. So thank God for good things He has already done, and be grateful to Him for the battles you've won. And know that the same God who helped you before is ready and willing to help you once more. Then with faith in your heart, reach out for God's hand and accept what He sends, though you can't understand. For our Father in heaven always knows what is best. And if you trust in His wisdom, your life will be blessed. For always remember that whatever betide you, you are never alone, for God is beside you. And I feel like that's the epitome of her, that's the way she felt, that's the way she believed, that's the way she walked in her life. And she was a blessing to me. She was a blessing to our class. She was a blessing to this church in the way that she walked in the Lord and lived her life. And I don't know that she was out and about in the community too much because she was very frail. But anybody that knew Judith, there was no unkind word. There was no downside to Judith's life. She walked in the Lord. She trusted in Him. And she knew that He was beside her in the good times and the bad. I only wish I could be a little bit close to that.